Well, good evening and welcome back to Allergic to Stupidity. It is May the 17th and it's the May 2-4 weekend for us in Canada, which for those who don't know is to celebrate Queen Victoria's birthday, for she is the monarch that said, you guys can be a country. We'll put a few bumper pads there, guidelines, just thinking, but yeah, I think you could be it. Let's be also realistic. It's really hard to keep colonies going when you're on the other side of the ocean. So this took one less stress off the UK, off of England. But happy Valentine's Day. Happy May 2-4 weekend. I hope everyone's enjoying it. I'm doing my May 2-4 thing, and I'm out mowing the grass and digging the garden and the things like that. So today's little chit chat, hope you got a nice cup of coffee or a cup of tea and you're relaxing, is not the elephant in the room, but it is the elephant in the room. And it has to do with a build-up from the last video I made, which was all about those 12 signs of that gentleman who had retired in Portugal, and he'd come home to the US, and he found 12 signs that indicated that the United States, not just economically, but society-wise, was collapsing. And I can't speak for the U.S. because I don't go to the U.S., but I can say that some of the things he said for economics, I can see here in Canada. But societal-wise, no, I don't see that. I see a lot of anger in Canada. Now, again, from the area I live, which is basically the GTA area, but I can see the anger and the frustration. It has alleviated a bit since Donald Trump decided to start insulting us by calling us the 51st state and Governor Trudeau, etc., etc., and that got our shackles up, and we got a little pissed off and mad about it. So I kept thinking about those 12 signs and went, okay, that's happening in the U.S. What about the rest of the world? And then the clicker here was this people in the area, live out in the country basically, and they're all firing off fireworks. And I go, that's a lot of money you're blowing up. But I've had fireworks on my property, and it's fun and things like that. But it also made me start to think about, I couldn't afford them now. And it made me think back to times in the past where I wasn't as financially secure as I am now. But I could afford to do things, fun things, just for the sake of fun. And I'm going to come up with a little more recent ones. One of them was years ago. My nephews were living north of Toronto. And I said, hey, guys, look, why don't you come over and we'll all go to Wonderland for the day? At my treat. And one of my nephews had just come back from visiting friends overseas, so he had just got in that day. We made it land, and we all met up, and I paid for every one of my 4 kids, my husband, myself, and my 2 nephews to go to Wonderland and spend the day at Wonderland, just relaxing, just having fun. And I threw every single one of them, except for my husband and I at the time, $20. That's your food. Don't come looking at me, but there's $20 for food. And my 2 nephews said, you know, Aunt Bev, you don't have to. I said, no, there you go. It's not going to feed either one of you for the whole day because I know how you 2 eat. Because trust me, they love their food. I said, but at least that's something. And I said, I know how atrociously expensive places like Wonderland can be for food. Just $20. Go have fun. And we spent the whole day there. The only deal was we'd meet back at the front gates as it got dark. And that was great. We had a lovely time. At the end of the day, my nephews looked at me and said, well, what rides did you ride and go on, Aunt Bev? And I went, I throw up on them all. I am not. I don't have a problem with them. I just get sick. So I didn't. So we went on the Top Gun glass one. And my husband, who was terrified of those rides, went, I'll hold your glasses, honey. He held my glasses, and my nephews and my kids and I all went up in Top Gun, and we had a wonderful time. I came down and puked in the garbage can. I was there. But we had a blast. without a problem. And I could afford it, and it didn't kill my budget. And before that, when we first moved out of Southern Ontario, there's a place in downtown, like just off the lakeshore, called Medieval Times. And it's got guys and horses, and they feed you a medieval meal. So literally there is potatoes and a hunk of chicken. Like, it is trying to be as medieval as possible. We're going to smile on that one. And I said I was vegetarian, and I said, that's okay. And they brought me a vegetarian plate. Not a problem. But I took the 6 of us. And I wasn't a full-time teacher. I was just a supply, which means you only get a day if there's a teacher who's sick, right? So you're not guaranteed an income. I could still afford to take the 6 of us in, take a day off work, because I had to do it during the week, and take my kids in to Medieval Times, and we had a blast. And I could afford it, and it didn't kill the budget at all. At all. And then at Christmas of 2003, so 2003, we, my family, my household was heavily into Lord of the Rings. We had a screaming blast. We loved watching the movies. And one of the local theaters offered a special where you could watch the extended version of the first movie, extended version of the second movie, and then you got to see the third movie before it was released out into the public. And one of my nephews isn't interested in that kind of stuff at all and wouldn't have wanted to do it. And he was like, yeah, don't worry about it. The other one was extremely excited. And I'm going, you got to make sure you're not going to miss the final exam. And his was, I'll miss the exam. Okay, no. And he let luck in that he wasn't going to miss the exam. But I took every one of my 4 kids, my husband, myself, my to-be daughter-in-law at the time, who was pregnant with my grandson, and my nephew. So there's 6, 7, 8, 9 of us. I went in, and we went, and of course it's a little more expensive, right? Because you're there all day. It was like 12 hours. And they gave a half an hour between the movies so you could run and go to the bathroom kind of stuff. But I could afford it without a problem. It didn't kill the bank. I wasn't going in debt for it. But this past Christmas, I thought, there's something in the local theater in Hamilton, and I went, how about I just take everybody? Like, I was thinking about this in October. I'll just take everybody sometime over the Christmas holiday. One of my kids would be in from Newfoundland, so I'd have everybody, and we could just get dressed up and go to the theater, all of us. No. It was going to cost me $1,200, and that's before parking. That's before going out for Timmy's or coffee afterwards. That's nothing extra. That was just to go in and sit down and watch whatever it was. It was a band or a group or a something. It didn't matter. I couldn't even possibly think of $1,200. That was, like, it just, when I'm listening to these people with the fireworks, I'm thinking, this just made me think of all the times in the past I've been able to afford to take and have fun activities with those people that are important to me, and it wouldn't kill the bank. And obviously, in 2025, I'm making more money dollar-wise than I was 20 years ago or 25 years ago, but I can't afford it. And I know I'm in a preferred situation. Like, my mortgage is nothing compared to a lot of people. So that got me, between that and that movie I watched, or the video I talked about last time, about the 12 signs that this expatriate American who was back to Ohio to visit family, and the 12 signs he saw of the economy collapsing and society collapsing, and then listening to the fireworks, and I just all meshed together. And I know I've had pictures sent from friends in the UK of the shelves being empty. So I know the economy is not great there. And so I started looking for videos on the UK, and they're as in bad shape as the US is. The bills aren't getting paid. The Labour government has cut back on credit for heating for those people who need it. Realize the UK is very much a socialist country. They take care of the people. And then I'm seeing videos coming up out of the States of shelves being empty. And they're now warning us in Canada that with the tariffs, that we're going to start seeing the prices go up and start less coming over and shelves being empty. Great, huh? So they can sit there and say, we're pushing a recession coming. And I think I said it before, but I can say it again. It's great on paper for the government to say, we are seeing a growth. As minuscule as the GDP growth might be, we're still seeing a growth, therefore we are not in recession. As long as the GDP is growing, they don't classify it as a recession. And that's a great thing to say. And it does make investors feel better because, okay, we can invest in that country, can do things in that country because their GDP is growing, etc., etc. But if you're the person who wants to take the family out and you can't afford it, not because you're broke, not because you don't have a job, but because you're having to stretch your pennies so much to make ends meet, it's not there's going to be a recession. We're in a depression. And I've said it before, I'll probably say it again, that when we're looking at a recession or an economic depression, let's not look at what the economy says. Let's not look at what the country's economy is saying. Because it might be fine. But if your expenses outstretch your income, then it is an economic recession or an economic depression for you and I, 100%. When people, during the pandemic, people were starting gardens, and they said, oh, it's because of the economy. I think it's because people were bored and they wanted something to do. Really. For some of us, I happen to like planting my garden. I like the idea of growing my food and harvesting it and putting it on the table. And it's not because I know what's gone into the food, and all that kind of organic orientation that some people have. It's just, I like doing it, right? It's like making my own clothes or knitting something. Or making something from hand for somebody in my family. I'm not trying to be cheap because trust me, making things by hand these days, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, yeah, it was cheaper to make it. Especially 60, 70 years ago, it was cheaper to make it than it was to buy it. But I just enjoy it. So some of us that are doing it, I'm got the garden going again, not to try to save money, but because I enjoy doing it. But we're looking at this and we're saying the U.S.'s economy is collapsing right in front of our eyes. The UK's government economy is not great. Thank you, Boris Johnson and Brexit, etc. It's just, that's how bad it is. So if you're feeling scared and terrified, here goes my 3 things again. Yes, those feelings of the economy is crashing, and how am I going to put food on the table, and how am I going to keep a roof over my head, and how am I going to keep clothes on my back and the car running? Those are real. Don't even, that's 100%. That's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Don't be somebody who, quote, well, I should be able to retire now. 20 years ago, that's fine. But this isn't 20 years ago. This is 2025, and the economy's gone belly up. So those feelings are honest to God real. Next, go get physical. Go for a walk. Go lay out in the sun and enjoy the summer. And if you're in Australia, the other bottom half of the earth, though that's not really the bottom half of the earth, depending on how you look at it, but the other side of the earth, Go for a walk. Go enjoy yourself. Whatever. Just relax. Number 3, find a plan. Stan. Something that is going to let you feel financially a little more secure. Right? If you have a car, maybe you can pick up a side hustle of driving for Uber or DoorDash or whatever. And to tell you how bad the economy's gotten right now, you can actually take loans out to pay your living costs. And I'm not joking. My daughter came down and surprised me for Easter, like I've said, and we got chit-chatting about the economy because that's the kind of household I live in. And she went, Mom, you can actually take a loan out through DoorDash to have your food delivered. I said, so I'm going to get in debt to be able to have food delivered to, instead of making it. She went, yeah. And I was like, this is ridiculous. So we're making people farther and farther in debt because now I got a loan that I have to pay off to get that pizza or that whatever delivered to my house. But anyways, back on what I was saying. So find a side hustle. Find a, drive for Uber, drive for whatever. That one you can control. That, if you only want to do it one day a week, then you just do it one day a week. Or somebody I know, when he finishes work, he's already signed on. He picks up from whatever stores and drives the things home to the where it happens to be delivered. It's an extra 10 minutes at the end of this day or half an hour at the end of his day, and he pockets that money as extra. And I was like, yeah, there you go. So, and the last one, and it all has to do with this whole, the economy being upside down. It was about that. It's a CBC show that I like, especially if it's, I think it's John. He's a delightful guy. I just like his presentation and how he lays it, and it's like he doesn't make any judgment calls, and he's like, I just really like how he presents. Anyways, it's about that, and it's a CBC show, and it was an examination on asked for young people between the ages of 20 and 34, and how dependent are they on their parents for financial assistance. And only 40% said that they honestly believe that they will get to a point where they can be financially completely independent. 24% said somewhere from not at all do I ever think I won't be completely financially independent. 32, I don't think, definitely I'm not going to ever be able to, I don't think I'll ever be able to. And I was like, that's scary, because those are my kids. And I have 2 that definitely are very much independent. And I have 2 that, one is just now, but that's because she got together with somebody who has a solid job. So, there you go. There's the chit chat for today. Not a smiley thing, really. But that's just, those feelings are real. If you're terrified and scared, those are really legitimate feelings. There you go. I do have a smiley for you. Went to the dry cleaners today to pick up my Christmas tablecloth. And what my Christmas tablecloth is just a great big white sheet. And I have been having whoever sits at the Christmas table sign their name in pencil, and then I embroider over it. And I have a point of taking it in to be dry cleaned. Mostly because he can do a better job ironing it than I can. And as I went to pick it up today, he made a comment about how somebody had come in and asked him to hem a tablecloth for Christmas that they bought, and one for Thanksgiving, and make a series of 8 napkins. And he said they were picking it up or something. He said, and they made a point of saying, this is our Christmas tablecloth, and this is our Thanksgiving tablecloth, and they just got married and everything else. And he said, I got to show you something. And he pulled out my tablecloth, which has my kids' signatures from, I think my oldest was 5. And the couple looked at that and went, oh my God, that's fantastic. That is wonderful. We're going to start that this year. And he said, I hope you don't mind us. Nah, I don't care. But it was just a smile on my face, that something that I just took as just a me thing to do, that other people thought was a really cool thing to do. And it literally, all it was is a great big white table sheet, to be honest. And I embroidered Merry Christmas across the middle of it. And when you sit down, you sign your name. And this couple that saw it just loved it, because you can see how my oldest daughter's signature's gone from being 5-year-olds, very kindergarten, blocked 8, I think the 9's even backwards, to be honest. But she just, that, to her signature now at a whole lot older than 5 years old. So I do also laugh, because most people are very cautious when they sign it the first time, going like, what are we doing? You're not supposed to write on tablecloths. With all my kids going, yes, you are, sign it. But the next time they're sitting at my Christmas table, or my New Year's table, because I have 2 tablecloths, they're always checking to see where their signature is. It's one traditions. There you go, guys. Hope you've had a wonderful day, and you enjoy the May 2-4 weekend. Take care, and I'll be back on tomorrow night with Political Sundays.